Hi, everyone. My name is Pardis Emami-Naeini. I'm an assistant professor of computer science, electrical and computer engineering, and public policy at Duke University. I'm also the director of the Duke Interdisciplinary Security, Privacy, and Interaction Research Lab, or in short, INSPIRE Lab. Today, I'm super excited to discuss some of our research on people's perspectives on AI and what it means for stakeholders who care not only about technological innovations, but also about their societal impact. It is no surprise to this group that AI technologies are becoming increasingly popular among consumers. With the recent advancements in AI and large language models, nowadays many consumers rely on AI chatbots as their companion, their mental health therapist, their doctor, or even their romantic partners. The use of AI technologies is not limited to AI chatbots. There is a growing interest in industry to integrate generative AI into their sensor-heavy technologies, such as social robots or smart home devices. Today, we have smart toilets on the market that you can talk to and share your deepest thoughts and feelings with. Or a newly introduced smart mirror that analyzes your facial expressions and the tone of voice to determine your mood and give you the pep talk you did not even realize that you needed. While they may sound interesting, they may sound exciting, if not designed with care, these technologies can pose some consequential harms. To function, AI technologies rely on collecting vast amounts of information from users and their surroundings, often retaining it for unknown periods and even selling it to third parties. These technologies pose huge risks to consumers, as you can see. However, despite all the risks, the approach to innovation has always been to design first and then wait for the catastrophe to happen before making any meaningful actions. Well, this reactive model is deeply flawed. Not only does it endanger the users, but it could also harm the public trust in AI technologies, which could eventually lead to a decline in their adoption. My research aims to address AI risks proactively. I seek to obtain a foundational understanding of people's privacy concerns, needs, and values, and leverage this knowledge to develop solutions that enable informed and protective interactions with these technologies. For the rest of this talk, I would like to briefly discuss the research that we are doing in the lab with consumers of AI technologies, specifically AI chatbots and domestic social robots. The research that we conducted, and I'm going to talk about, are two interview-based projects with consumers to understand their privacy concerns, preferences, and values. The information that we collected is the critical first step to design safe and responsible AI. As I'm going to talk about the findings of these projects, you will also see several quotes from our participants. And the reason that I'm putting these quotes on the slides is that as technologies, as researchers, as policymakers, we usually don't talk to people who are using these technologies or people who would be impacted by these technologies. Well, if our goal is to move toward a safe and responsible AI-centered, AI-enabled society, it is the first critical step to listen to people. Some of our participants preferred AI technologies over human alternatives because they felt being seen by these technologies. And I do not necessarily mean human-like seen. Many of these participants were actually saying that they're very well aware that these are just technologies and not human. But they were receiving a quality that they were not receiving from people. For example, some participants really appreciated the non-judgmental tone of their interactions with AI, and they compared this with talking to people and how judgmental they can be. A participant said, I like talking to the chatbot because it isn't an actual person. It's not going to judge me. Some other participants really liked being the center of attention at all times when interacting with AI chatbots. For example, one of them said, it gives this illusion of feeling like, hey, it's just you and the chatbot. Don't worry about it. It's just us here. I might share things that I probably shouldn't because of that. Our research provided empirical evidence that AI technologies impact multiple facets of privacy, namely information privacy, psychological privacy, social privacy, and physical privacy. Almost all of our participants reported being concerned about the amount of information AI technologies collect, who can access it, and how it will be used. A participant said, if it gets into the wrong hands and it would stop me from being hired for a job or something, that's where it would really affect me. The personal aspect doesn't affect me, the professional aspect does. Psychological privacy refers to users' right to protecting themselves against technology interfering with their feelings and emotional state. Some of our participants reported being concerned that AI technologies collect information or make inferences about their emotional state, especially when they were at a vulnerable and potentially less agentic stage. A respondent mentioned, oh, I was really upset today. I was crying earlier. The deeper the chatbot goes into my feelings, the less safe it feels. But that doesn't stop me right now, because the benefits outweigh the risks. Social privacy was another dimension that some of our participants reported to be concerned about. These participants were concerned about how AI technologies impact the way that relationships are formed. Several of these participants were specifically concerned about AI technologies influencing the social bonding of their children, especially in earlier stages of their development. A respondent said, I wouldn't buy my kids a robot friend. I would encourage my child to have social relationships with actual human children. I just don't think that is something I would layer in as an experience for my kid. Finally, a few participants were concerned about AI technologies interfering with their physical and territorial privacy. All of these participants were concerned about an embodied AI agent interfering with their physical space by, for example, harming them physically or surveilling their physical space. For example, one of our participants talked about their concerns towards social robots impacting their physical privacy. They said, a robot could go around and dig through my purse and look at my credit cards. It would be used for all sorts of things if it's in your home, and it can move around and map. We also surfaced several misconceptions, which basically led to participants' lack of concerns or lack of actions to mitigate their concerns. Most common misconception was that participants thought that their interactions with AI technologies were being protected by privacy law. For example, most of our participants thought that their mental health-related conversations with ChatGPT was being protected by the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA. A participant said, anytime I've done a therapist, I've always signed documents that say the therapist can say any of this information. I've never done that with ChatGPT, but I assume that's on what I click to agree and submit. Well, this is a misconception. HIPAA only applies to covered entities and their business associates. ChatGPT, OpenAI, they're not covered entities. And users' interactions, mental health-related conversations with ChatGPT are not going to be protected by HIPAA. Several of our participants were using AI technologies despite having significant concerns. we were able to surface several trade-offs that our participants were facing when interacting with these technologies. In some situations, participants were using these technologies out of necessity. We especially found cases that participants were using these technologies, the chatbot or the robot, to manage and improve their health and wellness. A participant was, here, the code that I have on the slide, a participant was talking about their struggles to find a therapist, and that's why basically they use a general purpose chatbot as a therapist. They said, I don't have any friends currently. It's just me and my family. And my family doesn't really get all the issues I go through. I currently don't even see a therapist or, professional psychologist because there are not many around where I live. And as I live in a very rural area, and I've had some negative experiences. Many of our participants were willing to trade their privacy due to a core belief that their interactions with AI systems would improve the AI technologies for everyone and bring societal values. For example, a participant said, there is part of me that hopes my data does get used to train AI. If it helps improve it even the littlest, tiniest bit, maybe I've done my part, because I don't want other people to go through everything that I've gone through. So if I could improve it a little bit, that would be okay. This trade-off is especially common relate across the data collections for health technologies. For example, related to the health context. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many of the advertisements around contact tracing app were to promote societal benefits, maybe sometimes with the expense of users' personal privacy. Some participants were turning to AI during an emergency to seek relief. These participants were also all concerned about the information that they were interacting, especially at that vulnerable stage. However, they found the relief that they received was well worth it. A participant was especially recalling a traumatic time when they used ChatGPT. They said, 6 or 7 months ago, I got out of a domestic abuse relationship. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't want to call my mom because I knew she was going to be worried. So that is when I went to ChatGPT. It gave me that reassurance of, hey, you did everything right. You were scared. You didn't know what to do. And I really think that changed me in many ways by just having that little bit of reassurance. Even though it's not real, it's just a robot, but still, just having that reassurance really did make a difference. Some of our participants were taking actions to mitigate the risks of basically interacting with technology, to mitigate the concerns that they were having. For example, some participants were very cautious about not sharing any personally identifiable information in their interactions. One said, I share most of my thoughts with a chatbot as long as I remove all the details that could potentially identify me. When it comes to more sensitive conversations, for example, discussing their mental health struggles, a few participants use third-party narratives. A participant said, I'll say, tell me a story, as if this is a 65-year-old woman in a book. Then I interact almost as if it's not me. It depersonalizes me. Regardless of their level of privacy concerns, all of our participants wanted to have usable information about the data and security practices of these technologies. They wanted to know about the data that is being collected about them, what data is being used to train these models, why this information is being used to train the model, for how long the data is being retained, who will have access to this information. And all of our participants wanted to have control and agency over the information that they were sharing with these technologies, and they wanted to know what controls are available to them and how these controls can address the risks of such interactions. Akin to a food nutrition label that we are all familiar with, our lab is currently designing a usable transparency interface for AI technologies. We were previously successful in making changes to the policy and industry practices when we developed a usable and informative cybersecurity nutrition label for smart home devices. We conducted years of empirical research to show that transparency can benefit both consumers and experts, and that even a simple label can have significant impact. Now, we are designing such labels for AI. Over the next few months, you will see a privacy label for smart home devices. That being said, this label still doesn't have any information about the AI capabilities of these technologies, and we hope to fill this gap by designing a label for privacy. As I've argued over the last few minutes, consumers are concerned about the privacy practices of AI technologies. However, they do not have enough information to make informed decisions. We've only scratched the surface by looking into two consumer technologies that are becoming increasingly popular. However, manufacturers are in a race to integrate generative AI into their technologies. And sometimes the benefits of these technologies may not be worth the privacy harms. For example, we now have a wearable device whose only job is to constantly listen to all the conversations that is happening around it to generate the best course of action for the user based on their interactions. Or we are going to have cars with conversational AI, where manufacturers hope to change the relationship of the users from a tool to a friend. Based on this presentation, I hope that it's clear that these technologies are not being designed with people's privacy concerns in mind. And if we are going to have a safe and responsible human-centered AI, basically, we need to center the design of these technologies based on people's needs and values. To that end, we are designing, in our lab, we are designing human-centered transparency and control interfaces for AI technologies that could inform people about the data practices of these tools and give them the controls that they can proactively protect themselves when interacting with these technologies. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will be happy to answer your questions now.